Ja.
Hare Krishna. Many places I never saw before. It's nice. Thank you all for coming. So again, we were asked to speak on the topic of consciousness and kirtan, and I was given the luxury of speaking 15 minutes. Be brief. We'll read a verse from Srila Prabhupada's Bharatiya. And I choose a verse in the 3rd chapter. Text 38. Sanskrit is as follows. Dhumina vriyate vaniya yatha darsho malina cha yatalvina vitur karabas tatatane tamavitam. Translation. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, similarly the living entity is covered by different degrees of this lust. Purport. There are 3 degrees of covering of the living entity, by which his pure consciousness is obscured. This covering is but lust under different manifestations, like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and a womb about the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that the fire of the living spark can be a little perceived. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, he may be likened to fire covered by smoke. Although fire is necessary where there is smoke, there is no overt manifestation of fire in the early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to the cleansing process of the mirrors of the mind by so many spiritual methods. The best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position, for the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. This stage of living condition can be compared to that of trees. The trees are also living entities, but they have been put in such a condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are most void of all consciousness, almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the birds and beasts, and the smoke-covered fire is compared to the human being. In the form of a human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if he makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled into the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire can be made to a blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Anyone knows what is consciousness? That's the topic of today. Anyone, have you ever thought about what consciousness means? What is it? Yes?
Perhaps a state of mind.
A state of mind, good. A state of mind can change all the time. But so can consciousness. Level of consciousness.
Sincere and serious awareness about...
Awareness, that's good. Awareness, you can say consciousness is awareness. Prabhupada says it's the symptom of the soul. Like you see the sun rises in the morning, or even maybe before the sun rises, there's light. So this light is the symptom of the sun is just about to rise. So in the same way, the consciousness is the symptom of the soul is there within our bodies, and we are the soul. So what is the difference between the consciousness in a tree body and the consciousness in a human being? What is the difference?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is the difference between the consciousness in the tree, outside a tree standing, and the consciousness in a human body? What is the difference?
I think the difference is, is that the consciousness within our body, that is immortal, that is remains forever. There's the consciousness outside, that is temporary. That
yeah, that's true. But my question is, in a tree, is the consciousness not eternal in a tree?
Is the consciousness
eternal?
Yeah.
You say the consciousness in the body, human body, is eternal?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's true to some extent. But is the consciousness in a tree not eternal also?
Yeah, everything is eternal.
Yes? Yes?
The body can express.
Good? Good. So the body as a vehicle can easily transfer or show that consciousness to others.
Can express the thoughts.
Can express thoughts, intelligence. But if you say that, is intelligence the same as consciousness?
Consciousness between in the tree and us is the difference that we react on our consciousness, but a tree can't.
Yeah. How do we know that? Do we know that a tree has no reactions in consciousness?
Maybe he can't express that.
They can express it. So now we're getting close. What is really the difference?
How can a tree express consciousness?
You can see it's growing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's drinking water from its feet, as Robert said, from the roots. Leaves are coming on the tree. Every some trees have fruits. So we can see they're alive. And it just established, I think, that consciousness is a symptom of the soul. So that means there's a soul, and also here in this verse today in Bhagavad Gita, so it must be right, that a tree also has a soul, or more rightly, is a soul. So it's very important to understand we are not bodies having souls. We are souls captured within bodies. So the difference between being in a tree body and being in a human existence is that, as you said, we can see the difference. You can communicate. There's more direct sign of intelligence. The consciousness is not so covered. We hear here avrita. Dumina avrite vanya. Avrite vanya. As smoke, as fire, vanya. As vanya is covered by dumina, by smoke. Or as the mirror is covered by lust. Or as the embryo is covered by the womb. The living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. So really the answer is that it's covered in different degrees of lust. What is lust? What is the difference between lust and love? Lust, yeah?
Love is eternal, and that can be only given to Lord Krishna or God. That is pure love. The love we have here in this materialistic world, that is basically lust.
That is basically lust. Good? Very good. Yeah.
Lust is selfish.
Yes?
Being selfish is lust, and love is like a pure,
Shared emotion.
is like pure, not selfish.
Love is pure. Lust is selfish. Very good. So lust is all about me, right? Taking. I want this. I want this. I want this. But love is all about giving. And that's the nature of consciousness. That's the nature of the soul. To give. And that's, as you said, Matu, that's the only place where we can really experience pure love. And therefore, only place we can experience pure happiness. This is already within. We have it in here. And the soul is Satchidananda. It's eternal, it's full of knowledge, and it's full of unlimited bliss. This is the nature of living entities. But due to wrong decisions in life, we make some wrong decisions, and more likely, more precisely, some wrong actions. That creates karma. So that karma, it creates like this lust is covering us to different degrees. This beautiful verse in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Pradana kalasha dharma sangrahe sarira esha pradipatya tetanam kriyapala tvena vipur vibhayati atanam udharasu tatgunatmakam. So the last line says that consciousness is just like fire. is giving an analogy, comparing it to fire. So fire is basically the same, no matter what form it has. You agree? Right? It's the same fire. Have a little fire and a little gewick, or we have a huge bonfire outside, or it's the same. The quality of fire is the same, right? So the same as consciousness. Consciousness is the same. We are not unique in having our specific consciousness. We are all unique personalities, but consciousness as quality is the same. Whether it is in a tree or in a demigod, it's the same consciousness. It's just covered by different degrees of what? Of lust. That's the only difference. It's just covered in different degrees. So we hear an example here that is like fire covered by smoke, and that is compared to, anyone remembers? Human beings. The brother says that there's a little fire, right? A little fire, but it's covered by smoke. You can hardly see the fire, but the fire is there. So what happens if you fan the fire very carefully? It can be made into a blaze. And that's expanding our consciousness. So this is the beauty of consciousness. It can expand and it can retract. And it all depends on what we put into our consciousness, what we take in, and what we do in our activities. And this is what this verse is explaining, I just mentioned. That it's just like fire. Consciousness, just like fire, is the same. But if you can have a fire, if you make a round fire, you have a round fire. If you make a square, they put wood in a square, you will have a square fire. So you can change the forms, but the fire is the same. So what happens there? Pradhana kalasha dharma sangrahi. According to our pradhana, our nature, pradhana kala, time, asha, our desires, and dharma, everyone knows that, our activities, our patient activities. Pradhana kalasha dharma sangrahi, sarira isha pratipatyachitam. Sarira, we get a certain kind of body. And when we get a certain kind of body, sarira isha pratipatya chetanam. Anyone knows chetanam? Consciousness. Consciousness. So according to the bodies we have, we get a special consciousness. You follow this? And at the same time, what kind of consciousness we have, we get a different kind of body. So we just saw, there's 3 bodies out there. They have a different kind of consciousness than we have. It's more covered. It's not so available. The consciousness is not really available to the tree. But we can feel it. We know there's something in here we can't really explain unless we read Bhagavad Gita carefully. So according to all these things, according to nature, according to our activities, according to time, and according to our desires, we get these different kind of bodies. And in these kind of bodies, there's different kinds of consciousness. Kalasha dharma sarira isha kriya phalatvena, and how we uses this consciousness or this body we have been given, kriya phalatvena, we get a certain kind of fruit of our activities. And if we use them for Krishna, what happens? Kriya phalatvena vibhur vibhavyate, vibhur Krishna, he will manifest. So how do we manifest that? How do we get Krishna to manifest within our consciousness so that we are Krishna conscious, which is the highest state of consciousness possible in existence? You can say there's different levels. Here down below we have atheist consciousness. Then you can say you have impersonalism, those saying God has no entities, God cannot see, God cannot hear. And a bit beyond that we might say there's agnostics. Maybe God exists, maybe don't, I don't know, we could. And maybe about that, there's demigod worship, about that there's seeing Krishna in nature. Rajaham Opsikontia, Krishna says not the taste of water. So when we drink water, we can think of Krishna. He's the Paurisham Vishnu, of the strength of the strong. When we see a very strong person, a very powerful person, we can see this is Krishna manifesting in him. Krishna is showing his opulences in that person. So you're seeing God in nature. And higher than that is seeing Krishna as Paramatma. Krishna as the guiding soul within our bodies, the super soul. Ishvara Parama Krishna, he's there in our soul guiding us, next to our soul guiding us, if we can hear, if the consciousness is clear. And higher than just understanding Krishna in that feature, we can understand Krishna as Bhagavan. Bhagavan, the great God that possesses all opulences. But that's very much in open reverence. That's very much Bhagavan, I know it's God, so often the approach is often, give me, give me, give me. Oh God, give me my daily bread. Oh God, take care of my health, please. Oh God, fix my wife, she's annoying me, all these things. And highest consciousness in existence is Krishna consciousness, which is pure love, which is equal to pure happiness. So this is what we're looking for in all our activities constantly. This is what we want. But this lust that covers us constantly drags us away from our own purpose, from our own best interest. Because we're so covered by all these things, they tell us, the mind tells us, you do this instead, or you do this instead, because it gives you instant gratification. Krishna consciousness is not always like that. Sometimes you have to perform a process, and then gradually consciousness becomes purified, and when the consciousness is purified, then Krishna manifests. So what would you say was the recommended method, especially in this age we are living in, for elevating our consciousness to the highest level of Krishna consciousness? Kirtan. Good. Sankirtan. Kirtan together, yeah. That is the method. So when we chant the holy names of Krishna, especially when we do it together like this, so please invite us more often. When we do it together like this, what happens is Krishna manifests in the heart of all of us. Krishna says, I'm not in the mountains when the yogis are performing austerities. I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there, I'm not there. But I'm always present. The devotees, they come together and chant my holy names. And in that process, Krishna purifies the heart. Every time we mention Hare, his heart is really purified. Krishna, heart is really purified. Rama, heart is really purified. Every time we say just one syllable of the holy names, our heart is purified. Our consciousness is purified. And one day we will wake up and be ecstatic, full of bliss for the rest of eternity. So this is the power of Kirtan. This is the power of what we're doing today. It's elevating our consciousness so that we can get rid of all this dirty lust that drags our consciousness down into suffering. So Prabhu, do we have questions? Because my time is out. Do we have a question? Maybe 1 or 2 minutes? Or? Can we have a few questions? You have one, so
I have a question. So first, anybody from backside? They have a question? Okay. Mother is loving her kids. So this love or affection is a lust or a love?
Good question. Very good question, actually. Rama says there is no love in this world. But the closest you get is between the mother and her little child. So it is, there might be some love there, but it's still covered by lust. It's my child.
Yeah.
So all these parties, all these parties, I'm Indian, I'm Danish, I'm a man, I'm a woman, all these, like, it's my child, me, mine, and me, I'm and mine, and it's mine, it's me, and mine. All these things are really parties. And we should understand that everything, including our children, including everything we own, belongs to Krishna. But He has mercifully given it to us for us to maintain and take care of. So if you have that understanding, then it's very pure to love. But if it's like thinking, this is my child, and I'm only happy if this child does exactly as I tell it to.
Thank you.
Martin.
I don't have a question, but I have a statement to make. I would like to thank the organizers of this particular temple. I don't know who are the organizers or the management, to arrange such a very nice evening together where we all can be together and think about the Lord or Krishna together. Thank you very much for inviting. I hope the organizers will do it quite well. Thank you very much. It is very nice, and you have made a beautiful temple here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No. It's not me.
Whoever it is.
It's the Mandhir committee, the president, Mr. Sunil, vice president, Dolly Mudgil ji, and Neeraj ji, and Jyoti Bhavi. These are the organizer of this.
Thank you.
Hari Hari Bol.
And
Hari.
please do it often so that we have the pleasure of listening to Krishna from the real pure devotees. Thank you very much. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Any other questions, or maybe we pass that now? So should we have Kita? Yes, you have a question?
I'm just a little bit confused
Yes.
because when you explain about the tree,
Yes.
and for me it sounds like the tree can be more conscious than the human being. But because it's when we say that love is giving and the tree is giving oxygen and but I never seen a tree harming another tree.
Yeah.
So it's maybe more better to be a tree in this world.
Often, yes. Sometimes because there's so many evil people that are so covered by lust. So in many times their consciousness is in that degree lower than the plants and animals, etc. Because they misuse their free will to hurt others. And then you're right, we seldom see trees hurt others. Why?
What is the perfect example for a human being? Like being a human being, what is the perfect example of being a human being?
Being Krishna conscious.
And what is the sequence on that?
What is the?
You're saying it's like Krishna consciousness is love, right?
Yes.
But I mean, love can be understood in different ways from different people. And some people it's like
Yeah.
torturing other people, for example. It's also love.
So that's why we hear Krishna says, "Touch, hear from me." So here, this is the love book. This is how to attain that platform. So we just need to study this very, very carefully, then we'll understand. So the thing is really, in essence, is that we learn to do the activities we do them for Krishna. We don't need to change anything really, we just need to add Krishna more to our lives. So whenever we do Yat Karoshi Dashnasi Yajasita, whatever Krishna says, and whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, you may do it as an offering unto me. And it says, Patram Pushpam Paramprayam, you can offer me a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water. If it's done with bhakti, I'll accept it. So if we make that a part of our daily life and try to do as many as our daily activities as possible in Krishna consciousness, and chant the holy names as we just did, and we can, of course, we can chant at home on beats or when we study the books, then we're close to being perfect. Then it's just a matter of time. Thank you.
Just one addition. It's not any explanation, but one live example. What I have feel with this example, whether the tree is good or the human being is good. So there is a one thing that is different between us and the trees. Tree is always giving. The wood, oxygen, it's a greenery, fruits, flowers, everything. Without having any single self desire that the society is giving to me back to the water or something. Never. So the same as we take the example of tree in our life and we devote everything to the Krishna without expecting that the Krishna will give me a car, will give me a house, will give me anything. So because of this thing, if we learn this thing from the tree, then we can achieve Krishna very easily. We just give our everything and devote everything to the Krishna.
I have an unconditional choice that you accept the karma.
Yeah, no, but when you just devote your every karma, Krishna is saying that do karma. Do not expect the result. So just do karma for the car, you will get the car. Yeah.
Okay, maybe last question and we stop.
In general, can you tell few things which we should not do if you want to go close to Krishna consciousness?
Yes. Prabhupada says there's 4 principles we should follow if to the best of our capacity, and that is no intoxication. You don't take any kind of alcohol or any kind of dope. No intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, that means no sex out of marriage, and no eating, no killing. So these 4 principles mentioned in the story of in Bhagavatam, that the bull being chastised by a king, he says that as these 4 principles destroy all pious activities and all religion. So if we can avoid those, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, and no meat eating.
What about garlic and onion?
The problem with garlic and onion is not that it's not really sinful, but it's very, very bad for the consciousness. So like if you have things, if you drink beer, something happens with your consciousness, and if you do if you eat very sattvic food, something else happens with your consciousness. So when we eat garlic and onion like that, it has a negative effect on the consciousness. It's actually quite healthy for the body, but it has a very negative effect on the consciousness. So it's recommended if you want to make rapid progress in Krishna consciousness, that we avoid that also. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.